throwing matches over the stall, blah, 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 burn me. So he's like, yo, I bet you won't throw one in the trash. Wrong kid to dare, bro. I threw that shit right in the trash. Bang. Within a couple of seconds, goes up in flames, bro. Today I'm gonna walk you through how I ended up in juvenile hall. Things I seen in juvie and how it made me the man I am today. When I was 13 years old, I lit my school on fire. I was throwing matches over the stall when people were taking shits because I was skipping class because I got kept back in 6th grade. I hit this kid in the lap. He comes out like, yo, man, what the fuck, bro? Why you throwing matches over the stall, blah, 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 burn me. So he's like, yo, I bet you won't throw one in the trash. Wrong kid to dare, bro. I threw that shit right in the trash. Bang. Within a couple of seconds, goes up in flames, bro. Flames licking up the wall, paint catches on fire. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm out of here, bro. So I take off. Where's that kid go? Right to the principal's office to tell on me. So when he gets to the principal's office, I guess, so as soon as he gets to the principal's office, the principal calls the cops. Fire alarm starts going off. But I hit class for the first time since I came to school that year, right? I sit next to this kid, bro, and I'm like, I lit the school on fire just now. He's like, yeah, right. I'm like, no, for real, bro. I lit the school on fire. He's like, you didn't believe me at all, bro, right? I said, all right, man, right? Yo, cops come into the class before we can even get sent outside for this because of the fire alarm. The police station's right next door, so it must have took them 2 seconds to get there. They grabbed me up and I looked at him. I'm like, I told you, bro. So I go to jail. I go to juvenile hall. I'm not committed yet, but I go. So I get a bail and they let me out on bail, right? The day I was going to court, that morning, I had to pick up homework from school. So when I get to the school, I tell my mom, let me use the keys so I could listen to music while you're in there picking up my homework. She's like, all right, lets me keep the keys. Like, what could I do? I'm at the school. Like, I'm going to court. You know what I mean? Like, kind of way. So she gives me the keys. I'm in the car. She goes in, and I take off. I take the car. I'm whipping around, going around this little pull-in, like, through the school, going down the street, driving all around. And then I think I'm going to get back in time before. I was gone like 20 minutes. I don't know what I was thinking, right? But I pull back into the parking spot. A school bus is coming right in, so the school bus almost hits me. So the bus driver had to go, Arr! My mom didn't come out yet. The school bus driver saw me get out of the car and go around the car to get into the passenger seat. Why I went out and around, because there was all this stuff in the middle, and I went around. And the school bus driver see me, she told on me right away. So they come running out of the school, and my mom's like, what are you doing, man? Right? So I get a charge for that, stealing my mom's car. So when I get to court, they lock me up. They're like, fuck that, we've had enough with this kid. They put me in the they put me in the tank downstairs, right? And they have these DSS workers come and see me because they think that there must be something going on in the home because I'm acting so crazy, right? So they come down and see me, and she's talking about, oh, your parents must be bad parents, blah, blah, blah. So I spit in her face. Runs upstairs. I get pulled up into court, and she gets on the stand talking about I'm a sociopath and I'm going to spend the rest of my life in prison, right? So I get committed that day. Yes, I go to classification. That's Brockton Y. First, the 3rd floor. Then 3rd floor. Sorry, first the 3rd floor, then the 4th floor is classification. 5th floor is long-term detention. I get to the 3rd floor, right? And there's mad black kids. It's mostly black. I'm not gonna lie, it's black. I was one of the only white kids, and because of that, I dealt with a lot of shit, bro. A lot of racism, and yeah, it's because I was white. Just saying, right? And this ends up, I came in with a Black Magic t-shirt on. I was a skateboarder. I had a Black Magic t-shirt on. It's a grip tape, company for skateboards. And I had nothing in my head about gangsterism. I was not a criminal in any type of way. So, other than the way that I was. Like I was a dumb kid, you know what I mean? So anyways, right? End up going up to the 4th floor, and they sent me to this long-term detention center. Long-term program called Project Leap. It's for the worst kids in the state. I get to this program. It took me about 2 months, 3 months to get there. When I finally get there, right, it's got youthful offenders there. So there's kids up to 21 years old in this program, and every kid there is over 16 years old. I'm 13 years old. So I got front end of every single bully bullshit in that whole place, bro. When you talk about bullying, this is the pinnacle of bullying. I got held underwater until I pulled water into my lungs, and then they let me up for air. I was drowned, basically, right? So I get into a fight one night with this kid. He's a blood, and he's probably one of the only bloods there. And all these Crips are trying to gas my head up and shit. And I'm just thinking I want to impress him because I'm so young, and I just wanted the bullshit to stop, kind of. But I was really young, and I can't blame myself for this, man. I was really hard on myself for a long time, like thinking about it. But I did what they wanted me to do. I beat this kid up, right? I actually didn't beat him up. I swung on him, I hit him, and then he got me down on the ground and was punching my head in. And then I elbowed him up like this, and I caught him with a lucky one, and I split his chin open. It split his shit, bro. They broke us up. They put me outside. I'm sitting on this little log thing, and I had dip in my mouth, and there was staff bringing in heroin, so people were high and all kinds of shit there, right? This kid ends up refusing to walk back into the cabin at nighttime, so they had the state police come and pick him up and bring him back to Lowell. He was from the city, so they brought him all the way back to Lowell. This is in Brewster on Cape Cod, where I'm actually from. This is in the Nickerson State Park. So comes to a head where I was dealing with so much bullying that I kept on getting in trouble for reacting. Every time I would react to that shit, I would get in trouble, but the person wouldn't. So revenge was always the reason why I got in trouble. And it was not fair, no, it wasn't. But that's just how it is, and that's how it was, right? And I'm in the shop class. This kid, the wrench in my back pocket before we leave to go back up to the cabin. So we get to the cabin, and they're wanding us before we go in. I get up next, and this kid taps me on the shoulder like, yo, got a wrench in your back pocket. I'm like, he's like, yeah, you got a wrench in your back pocket. I feel it. I'm like, you motherfucker, right? So I threw the wrench, bro. It hits the branches of this little bush and bounces back onto the concrete like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, damn it, bro, right? So I get in trouble for the wrench. They tell me on Monday they're going to kick me out. This is Thursday. So Friday comes around, I'm at the beach. I won't go in the water anymore because I got drowned by the other kids. So I tell this other kid, I'm like, yo, bro, let's get out of here, man. Let's run. I was like, my house is decently close. We could run. We could go there. My mom will get us out of here. So he agrees to do this with me. We get prepared. We make a plan. We're thinking maybe we run on the beach that day and take off, like act like we're walking down and run. But it just didn't work out that way. The staff were on us that day. They were paying a little bit too much attention. So we were like, let's wait till the movies tonight. And when we go to the movies, well, I'll make a little scene at the front of the line, and then I'll take off, right? So he was going to come with me. We go to the movies that night. We watch the whole movie. The whole time I'm thinking, damn, I can't wait for this to be over. I get out of here, right? So the end of the movie comes. I go up to the front of the line. I'm at the door waiting to go out. The staff member has to come up, unlock the door, and then go to the back so that we could all get out because it's a little hallway. When he goes to the back to let us all out, I elbow the kid, boom, in front of me so that he kind of went, like that, and like everybody looked at him real quick, and I just jetted out the door to the left. I'm running so fast. I get down to the bottom of the hill. I'm running so fast. The hill's giving me speed. I look back and I ran straight into a tree. Bang! That hurt, right? I get up. I go around the little pond. I see some girls skinny dipping. I get jumping with them. I'm having a little bit of a fun. They give me cigarettes and stuff like that. And then it comes time for me to end up taking off, right? So I get out of there. They give me a bike. I take off, and I see this dude. He tells me I should get out of there because the cops were looking for me. He didn't tell on me or nothing solid. So I take off, bro. I get home, and it took me all night to get home. I get home, and I go through my basement door. I knock on the basement door. I'm like, the doors open, so it must have, everybody was asleep. It was early in the morning, and I go up the stairs and I see my brother sleeping on the couch in the living room. So I'm like, yo, Ryan. I wake him up. Like, yo, Maddie, what's up, bro? He's like, the cops have been here all night looking for you, bro. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, I took off, bro. I was like, I had enough of that shit, bro. You know what I mean? I was getting kicked out on Monday, blah, blah, blah. We go out to the back porch, smoking cigarettes. My mom wakes up and comes downstairs. She's like, oh my God, what'd you do? I'm like, yo, let's get the fuck out of here, Mom. Like, we gotta go. So we get in the car, we drive to Milford, and when we get to Milford, I'm running around the projects acting stupid and shit like that, and my mom's talking to the AWOL officers, trying to make a deal. She didn't want to tell me either, but she was, you know, saying if I turn myself in, then they won't give me extra time and stuff like that. They promised her the world. Yeah. She believed them. I just wanted to make my mom happy, so we drive up to Seekonk. I turn myself in, end up giving me that extra 6 months. I go up to the 5th floor in Brockton Y. That's the detention center. And when I get up there, it's a whole new level. People are, you know, kids are fighting all the time. I mean, people were fighting in Project Leap a lot. That was a serious place. Like, Project Leap was probably the illest place I've been, like, as far as violence goes, other than boot camp. Boot camp was where it really got it in, and then Goss 2 was serious too. But my whole time with D.Y.S, right? I go back to the 5th floor. I'm you know, there's nothing really eventful that happens there. I'm gonna travel through the whole thing with you, so bear with me, right? Just stick around, please. Hit the like button for me too, please. Hit the like button, please. Subscribe. You know I'm gonna deliver. I'm coming with some fire all the time. I got serious things lined up. But anyways, right? I get out after 13 months. I get out after 13 months, and within a week, bang, they come and they're grabbing me up again for some nonsense, bro. I think it was like I broke into a gas station and stole some change and cigarettes and stuff like that. And they followed me all the way to my house, sniffed me out all the way to my house. And they went right up to my basement door, the lucky old basement door right there, right? A lot of memories there. So cops get me, they're like, you know, they were about to leave because my parents said they were here all night. You know, they vouched for me. Cops were about to leave. They bought it up, but they seen a boot. And they're like, oh, can we look at that boot real quick? And they're like, you know, because it was snowing outside and they had footprints. And they pick up the boot and look at the bottom of the boot. He said, oh, this is my father's boot, mind you. It's not my boot. They said, oh, this is the exact footprint. And they said, yo, they're taking us. They arrested us. Father's boot, right? We get locked back up, bro. Me and my brother. This time, we ended up in Goss together. I went through every program in the Southeast region. After I leave Project Leap, go to the 5th floor, that's when things started to take a turn. That's when I started to realize, man, like only the strong survive. And when I was in Project Leap, I missed a little part. So one day this kid got blanket partied at nighttime. So that means they held my blankets down and smacked me in the face with soaps and socks and shit. So I tell this kid, man, like what happened to me, bro. I was pissed, man, and I just didn't know what to do, bro. I was so small, I couldn't really fight back. And he's like, I mean, I could fight back, it just wasn't doing much. You know, I was 13 years old. It was like getting hit by a fucking mosquito. These kids were all 16, 18, 19, 21. So I tell him what happened. He's like, yo, Maddie, he's like, let me tell you something, bro. He's like, when someone calls you a bitch or a punk, he's like, you swing first and then you ask questions later, bro. He's like, never think about the consequences of your actions. Just do it, set it, and forget it. And from that point forward, that's how I lived my life. So every time I'm in D.Y.S, every little thing that was I thought was a short, I'm hooking off. So I started fighting all the time. And that's how people started to get to know me. I made my name before I even left D.Y.S. Motherfuckers knew about me and my brother. Like, oh, that's the twins right there, you know what I mean? So I end up doing the hop from different program to program to program. I go to FANF, Project Leap, Teamworks, Boot Camp. Then I end up just sticking in Goss 2 forever. Goss 2 is the maximum security detention center for kids. That's where all the craziness happened. One day when we were up there was this riot that happened. Started in the chow hall. Staff member Storm tried to jump in. There was the Boston kids versus New Bedford, the chow hall. my boy got up and stabbed one of the New Bedford kids with a pen, and it sparked off. It was like a 4-on-5 or something like that, and this dude Storm jumps in to break it up, and when he jumps in to break it up, my boy Soche, Cambodian kid, kicks the dude in the face, and fucking the dude whiplash in his neck. He left and never came back after that. The dude got knocked out cold too on top of it. I was there in Goss. What happened to me is that I started having like problems with mental health. That's when I started really mental health issues, and I never knew until on in life that this was actually real. I thought it was just me trying to play the system, but it turns out like nobody that's really normal does that type of shit, bro. Like nobody that's normal acts in that type of way, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. So I'm up there. Me and my brother were there for a little while together for a minute, but they ended up splitting us up and wouldn't let us back together for a while after he got released, and they kept me on for longer. They extended my stay and let him go home for a vacation with my parents, and they made me stay there. It was Thanksgiving Day, right? We're in the chow hall, and I'm visiting with my mom, my brother, his wife, and my father. My father's not typically one to come visit me. I maybe seen him 2 times in my entire life. That's my adult sentence, and as a child, doesn't often come. This is the one time he came. We're in there visiting. They call me out to speak to mental health. It's a psychiatrist, and I had been trying to get on my Adderall. They had taken me off when I was in the 5th floor because I got caught sniffing them in my room, so they didn't want to put me back on them. And I'm like begging them to give them back to me. They won't give them back to me. So the psychiatrist, I had talked to this lady about getting back on them and helping me get back on them and sitting in on my meeting with me to convince her to put me back on them, because I did have bad ADHD causing me to have behavioral problems and stuff like that. So she's sitting in there, and instead of vouching for me, she starts agreeing with the doctor instead, straight up two-facing me. So I punched the fan. There's like a hallway fan, like those big square ones with the tin around it. I punched the top of it and broke the sides off of it. I did that. The fucking Reem, she gets up and screams, so I grab her book and I ripped up all the pages. I started ripping the pages out of the book, and I grabbed the phone and I fucking whacked her with the phone. So she goes running out screaming down the hallway. Now mind you, everybody's in the chow hall having visits and stuff like that, like other people's families, my family. She's running down the hallway fucking screaming, going crazy, and I'm in there, and the staff are running down to come address the emergency. So when they come running down to address the emergency, I tipped the file cabinet over so that it blocked the doorway from me, so that they had a harder time getting in. And I grabbed this little baby doll. There was like those lifelike baby dolls. I grabbed it and I swung it at this dude Ed. They grabbed me up and they body slammed me, get me on the ground. You know, I was a 13-year-old kid. It wasn't very hard to get me down. They got their knee on my neck. You know, they're fucking me up, bro. Like they didn't hold back. You know, they never did. But they bring me out and they put me in this room on suicide watch. So when I'm in this room, I ended up being in that room for 30 plus days. I kept on refusing to go back in the room. I would put my arms out like this and block the doorway, and I wouldn't let them push me back in. Like every time I came out of the room, I would refuse to come out of the stall. I would refuse to go back in the room. I made it live in hell for them. And every night, like clockwork, I would go off. I would start punching the walls, and then they would run in the room, and I would start hooking off on them, and they would beat me up. So one time they beat me up so bad that I had all the blood vessels in my neck, all the blood vessels in my eyes from being choked out. So when my mother came up to visit me, and she seen this, and she starts screaming at the superintendent of that facility, calling him, saying he has a little dick, that's why he acts like that, and all this funny ass shit. Like, it was crazy. So my mom was going off, man. She known to be Mama Bear, you know. But after a little while of through that, you know, it kind of twisted my mind into a certain type of mindset where I was just like, fuck the system, fuck these people, fuck everything. You know what I mean? Like, it definitely changed me. And it came out on other kids. So when I was in the room, my friend, even with my friends, like this kid one day, he told me like, Maddie, he's like, the fucking light. And I'm like, fuck you. He was playing Game Boy or something, and I was in the light, blocking the light from to the screen or something like that. And he got up off his bed, challenged me. So I'm like, you don't want to fight me, bro. But he challenged me, so I got up off the bed and whooped him out. He started crying. Anyways, I just kept on doing this to everybody around me. I was fighting everybody around me. I thought like I had to do it because of the way I was treated when I was in LEAP. I was bullied so bad that I felt like if I didn't act this way, that people would do this to me. So I felt like I had to do it. And I ended up getting out of there after 13 months. Let my brother go home on early release, like I said. But I kept on going back. Every week I'd get out and go back a week later. And it went on like this until I was about 16 and a half. When I was 16 and a half, I flipped out one night. I took off all my clothes and I refused to put them back on because I got locked back up after only being out a week. And they said that I was classified to Department of Youth Services until the age of 18. I was 16 and a half. They gave me the sentence for the rest of my childhood years. They would not let me out. So I'm thinking I gotta get out of this somehow. And I fucking off all my clothes. I start making chicken noises, and they come in to get me, and I was spitting at them. And then, like, when they put me in the room, I'd spit up in the air and fucking catch it on top of my head like I was fucking nuts. I was just playing the game to the max. I wouldn't talk. I acted like I couldn't talk, and I was just making chicken noises. That's it. And every time I left the room, like I did before, I would put my arms up like this, and I'd put my feet out, and I wouldn't let them put me back in my room. And eventually they sent me to this place called Westwood Lodge. It's a mental health facility for kids and adults. They have adult wings. But I was in Westwood Lodge, and when I was there, I ended up hooking up with this girl in the bathroom. But I ended up getting committed there. So they kept me there for 3 months, and then they sent me to a step-down place in Brockton at the Veterans Hospital. So I go up there to this unit, this wing, and I was up there for about 2 weeks, and I completed the program, and they let me out because it wasn't a D.Y.S facility. They didn't contact my fucking caseworker to tell them they were letting me out, because if they did, they would have came picked me up and brought me back to detention saying I was cured and that I could do the rest of my time. So when they let me out, I fucking took off. I ran. I stayed a little while on the Cape. I started selling coke. That's when I blew up. After a couple of weeks, I went from selling a quarter. My friend gave me a quarter for $100 that he washed in his jeans, and I sold that. I had this kid cooking into crack. I sold that. Then I went and bought a half ounce the same exact day. That half ounce, I flipped that, and the next day I bought an ounce. That same day I bought 2 ounces. The next day after that, I bought 4.5 ounces. So it was a very quick progression. I ended up in this Brazilian dude as a customer, and he sold me his house basically for an ounce of coke and some money, and then I would pay him rent every month. I would collect rent from all the tenants because he's actually had 5 different people living in the house, and I turned it into a trap house because every single person there either did coke or they moved out because they knew everybody else was doing coke. And there was only one guy that did that. He didn't do coke, so he was like a Brazilian dude. He didn't even talk English. And after a week of me eating his food, he was pissed off and he left. I fucking had this. He yelled at me one day, "Why you eat my food?" I said, "Don't put it in my fucking refrigerator." And bought a fucking George Foreman grill. I had a guy that worked at a meat packaging factory giving me all this meat from his work, like $400 boxes of meat. I'd trade him coke for it. I had this lady worked the Village Green giving me cartons of cigarettes. I lived off of Heineken's and Hennessy and Heineken's, Hennessy and Alizé. I would make Hennessy and Alizé, but I would start drinking the Heineken's, and then when I was done with them, I'd drink a 20 flat, and then I'd drink that. I was a vicious alcoholic. And after a little while, that place got closed down by the IRS, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia with all the money that I made. My connect killed himself, so that fell off entirely. I had no more good connect like I had with that dude. I had the most fire coke, and it was like clockwork. He always had it, never ran out, so it was good. But as soon as that as soon as he ended up getting raided by the feds and killing himself, that whole operation crumbled. I had a lot of money still. I had people that owed me a lot of money still that were good for it, and they kept on paying me throughout with Western Unions after I moved down there. But I bought a bachelor pad when I was down there, and I lived good for a little while until I ended up getting kicked out of the bachelor pad for allowing this dude to party in my house, and he ended up getting into a fight with his uncle, and they were fighting out in the fucking street and bringing it back into the house and bringing it back out and then bringing it back in. And this Asian lady who called the cops on me all the time I ended up getting the cops calling me that night. I had to go to jail down there, and I gave him a fake name, and I think that my prince even came back as my name, because they didn't know that I gave him Ryan Tottenham and his social security. But my picture came back and Matthew Tottenham came back, but they didn't realize, because it looked like the same person, because I'm a twin, that we were both different people. And I ended up bailing out somehow. Like, I still had warrants up here for real, and I bailed out down there. Don't ask me really how it happened, man. I don't know. I just slipped through God's grace. I got out with a bail bondsman, and I did like a couple of days or something like that in Georgia. This place, they all called me Slim Shady. I told them not to call me that, because I didn't fucking, but they respect dudes from Boston a lot more, because they have a different type of way about us. We're different than the southern white boys, bro, for real. Like, we have a whole different type of demeanor. We're a lot harder than they are. I really believe that Massachusetts white boys are the hardest white boys in the entire planet, bro. Fact. Prove me wrong. Anyways, whole D.Y.S. career, I ended up getting arrested when I was 19 years old, and that's the beginning of my adult career. I'm glad you guys stuck around with the story for me, and I hope you guys liked it, and please hit the like button and subscribe. I got some fire videos coming up. I got an interview with this dude he has to get permission first, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna work out, and should be a good one, dude. Ended up having a murder case, doing 20 years. He got out after 20 years of life with parole. He was a juvenile offender, so when they passed the law, they let him out. He got parole, and he's been out for 8 years, doing good now, and his story could reach a lot of people and maybe change a lot of lives, and that's what this is all about. And I really appreciate all my subscribers, everybody who's new to the channel, and you don't yet know me or know my character, but I'm a good motherfucker, and I have remained true to who I am for my entire life, and I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. With a lot of respect and love, W number out.